invaded Ukraine, one thing is clear: Vladimir Putin underestimated the will of the Ukrainian people. From soldiers serving as snipers to the 102-year-old great-grandmother who's helping them hide and fight. Sam Kiley has her remarkable story.
At 102, Lyobov's survival is extraordinary, not least because she's endured 3 famines over her century, and all of them blamed on the Kremlin.
We ate linden leaves, and nettles. We used to grind these wild plants into flour, bake with it, and eat it.
At 13, she saw her older brother and sister perish in Ukraine's worst mass starvation, the Holodomor.
My legs were swollen, my arms were swollen. I was so sick, I thought I was going to die.
In the early 1930s, on Joseph Stalin's orders, Ukraine's farmers were stripped of every grain they produced to feed Moscow's industrialization.
Tiny children were dying of hunger. They were taken to a truck. They dug a big hole and threw them all in.
Ukraine is now 11 months into the latest Russian invasion. 3 of her grandchildren are soldiers fighting Russian troops because Russia's president doesn't believe that Ukraine exists. It should be noted that Ukraine actually never had stable traditions of real statehood, Putin claimed. Russia's assault on Ukraine's capital, Kiev, failed last year. Many Ukrainians believe they're fighting off another attempt at genocide.
The leaders and organisers of the genocide sit in the same offices in the same place. At the centre of these events is Moscow, and the object of destruction is Ukraine as a nation.
Ukraine's government says thousands of citizens have been forced into Russian territory and 14,000 children are missing. How many millions of people died in the many famines brought upon by Russia in this country over the last century is a matter of debate among historians, and human rights lawyers will debate whether or not what is happening today can be defined as a genocide. But there's no question that over the last 100 years the relationship between Moscow and Ukraine has been bleak.
We need to exterminate them so that not a single one is left. Only then can there be any peace.
To help the war effort, she ties burlap into netting to make sniper camouflage. But it may be her laughter that has kept her going so many years. Sam Kiley, CNN, Kharkiv.
Time for a short break here. When we come back, scenes of devastation, but also signs of hope. A child pulled from the rubble of the earthquake in North Syria.
Wednesday.
The President of the United States.
President Biden's first State of the Union address before Speaker McCarthy's new Republican majority. What will the president say to the nation? And what does it mean for the year ahead?
Together we can do something we haven't done in a long time. Build a better America.
Join Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper for special live coverage. The State of the Union address. Wednesday on CNN.
A new world of possibility as our travel demands change and influence the future of transport.
Our vision is to create a world where people are not limited by their ability to move.
Hyperloop technology, electric sea gliders, and supersonic aircraft. I'm Rahel Solomon. Join me for the next frontier and meet the engineers, experts, and executives pushing our urban mobility forward.
The Next Frontier, Saturday on CNN in association with Autonomous.
We're continuing to follow the aftermath of a deadly earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Rescue teams in both countries are still searching for survivors, with more than 4,900 people already reported dead. Bad weather and snow is making the search more difficult. More than 100 aftershocks have shaken Turkey and Syria since the initial quake. Experts say they'll die down as time passes. Well, aid groups in Turkey and Syria are getting a better picture now of what survivors need at this time. And you can see these homes in the Turkish city of Hatay reduced to rubble after the quake. UNICEF says their immediate priority is supporting children and families. It's likely many of them have lost their homes amid the destruction and are left to face freezing temperatures. The group is working with officials in both countries to coordinate the best response. Amid all the scenes of disaster, there are signs of hope. Rescue workers pulled a toddler unscathed from the wreckage of a collapsed building in Syria early Monday. Her pregnant mother and 2 siblings were killed. The girl's uncle says her father is alive but may have a broken back. The family was forced from their home during Syria's civil war and went to live in a town near the Turkish border. Well, for information on how to help the earthquake victims, you can go to cnn.com/impact. You'll find a list of organizations working on rescue and relief efforts. Again, that's at cnn.com/impact. And thank you so much for your company. I'm Rosemary Church. Do stay with us. Our coverage continues with Max Foster and Bianca Nobilo next.
I'm going to make an automatic pencil so that's all my homework.
I'm going to make a freezer mix unlimited ice cream.
I want to make a machine that can record all my dreams.
When you believe nothing is impossible, you see no limits. Engineering solutions for a limitless world. Kiloska.
No holds barred.
Out front tonight, hypocrite in chief.
No nonsense.
How stupid do you think we are?
Because getting to the truth matters. Aaron Burnett out front, Tuesday to Saturday on CNN.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN partner hotels, connected to your world.
I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta in New York, and this is CNN.
Hello and a warm welcome to our viewers joining us in the United States and all around the world. I'm Bianca Nobilo.
I'm Max Foster, joining you live from London, just ahead on CNN Newsroom.
There are 12 families and no one managed to get out.
A disaster-hit area, ever more vulnerable by this earthquake.
President Joe Biden's first State of the Union with Republicans in control of the House.
Likely announcement to seek re-election in 2024.
This was used for spycraft, and not only that, getting more details from U.S. officials about the debris.
We made it clear to China what we're going to do.
Live from London, this is CNN Newsroom with Max Foster and Bianca Nobilo.
It is Tuesday, February the 7th, 9 a.m. here in London, noon across Turkey and Syria, where the death toll from that devastating earthquake is now more than 4,900. The World Health Organization is warning that numbers could increase by eightfold, would you believe?
Turkey reports more than 11,000 buildings have been damaged, and rescue crews are digging through the rubble in a race to find survivors. There have been some successes, like this 14-year-old boy pulled from a collapsed building after more than 24 hours. He's been taken to a hospital, but we don't have an update on his condition yet.
The rain and the snow have been complicating the searches, and as the precipitation moves out, freezing temperatures are moving in.
We barely escaped from inside the house. We have 4 children, and we left the house with them at the last moment. I guess there are several people trapped inside. It was a huge disaster. Our situation is very bad here. We are waiting without food or water. We are in a miserable state.
Aftershocks are another major concern. The region has seen at least 100 of them, measuring 4.0 or greater. Witnesses in northwest Syria described the scene as terrifying. The UN estimates more than 4 million people in that part of the country were already dependent on humanitarian aid after nearly 12 years of civil war.
Across the region, there's heartbreak, like the anguish and grief from a father in Syria as he cradles his baby's lifeless body.
We begin with Salma Abdelaziz, who is live in Istanbul. Salma, what are the urgent challenges and priorities of the rescue services desperately trying to find anyone alive that they can?
It's absolutely an agonizing wait right now for families. You can see on Turkish television right now just rolling coverage, 24-hour images from the scenes of these search and rescue operations. People standing by, pointing at buildings, naming relatives, multiple family members buried under there without them knowing their fate. And that is the priority here, is to get answers to these families. This is absolutely the critical window here, right? This 24 to 48-hour period after the earthquake struck, when there is still that glimmer of hope that you might find survivors. And overnight, these promised expert crews from around the world started to fly into the affected area. They came with specialist equipment, with sniffer dogs, all of this desperately needed by Turkey. Of course, they simply do not have the resources to spread over this very vast area. So you saw in those overnight hours, particularly outside of the major administrative cities, that people were simply on the streets, made homeless, and trying to survive in these freezing cold conditions. Already families complaining that they're receiving no help at all, that they have no food, no shelter, no access to any sort of aid. So this is the day when you're going to start to see those recovery operations, those aid supplies begin to disseminate across this very large area. And again, you mentioned that